Hey kids, welcome to the Capital Life Podcast. I am your host, Abby Pagud. This is where we talk about all the things that life brings, the good, the bad, and of course, the healthy. And today's episode is called Your Sacred Space. And we have another special edition of Keeping It Real with Real People. And we have my good friend Kellie Rhymes to the show with women's hair loss support coaching. Welcome to the Capital Life, Miss Kellie.
Hi, and thank you again for having me.
I'm so excited to get into what we have in store for these people, but just before we get started, we're going to have a quick tidbit to our sponsors near you. This episode of The Capital Life is brought to you by Back to Basics Juicery, where they believe in the power of real, natural nutrition. Your body deserves the best. So Back to Basics has created fresh, delicious juices that nourish you from the inside out. Say goodbye to added sugars and preservatives and say hello to nutrient-packed goodness with every sip. Their juices are made from the finest fruits and vegetables, delivering the optimal nutrition your body needs to thrive. Feel the difference as you fuel your day with vibrant, wholesome drinks that leave you feeling healthier, happier, and energized. Visit Back to Basics Juicery today and take this first step toward more optimal, vibrant you. You ever notice how we spend all this time listening, learning, growing, and meanwhile your body's in the background like, okay, when is it my turn? That's where the focus programs at CapitalHealth.com come in. They're designed to support the real things your body is asking for, whether that's relief from pain, more mobility, or just feeling better moving throughout your day. There are over 20 programs to choose from, each focused on a specific need. And if you use the code TheCapitalLife, you'll get $15 off whichever one you choose. So if your body's been waiting, this might be a good place to start. CapitalHealth.com, where health meets alignment. Please like, share, and rate us on whatever platform you're listening. It's how we start to really spread the message of good in the world that needs it so much right now. If you find this helpful or insightful, don't forget to connect with us on Facebook and YouTube at Capital Health. That's KAPITOL Health. Also, visit us at CapitalHealth.com and subscribe to our newsletter and get wicked awesome updates. So let's get into your sacred space. This is like the perfect time of year to really start discussing new beginnings, doing kind of a vibe check to kind of see what is going on with our surroundings. We have a lot of very interesting things going on in just our realization and our perspectives right now. And I think a lot of people are dealing with a lot of unanticipated, unexpected change. It's like where all of a sudden we turn around and we find out about some, loved one that found out they have a terminal illness, or you're finding out that someone's getting diagnosed with an unexpected issue that is arising, or an ailment issue that's being faced of. And I think even just in the last couple of years, we've had so much of what we understand the world to be is not necessarily what's happening versus, our perspectives on how we see things. And a lot of things coming to light in our realization, not just in what's happening to our world, but also what's happening with how we invest our time and getting more to who we need to be. And I think one of the reasons why I really, truly couldn't wait to have this episode with you is because you have been through unanticipated events that have occurred in your life. And I think it's really important for us, especially right now at this time, to focus on what do we do with that? I want to focus first on kind of your story. Mm-hmm. And you've been so gracious to come on the show and actually share what happened to you. But and a lot of times when we have the unexpected pop up, it really hits us so out of left field. And then all of a sudden we're just it's almost like we're run over by a truck and we're just stuck in this, what the F, how is this my life? What's happening to me kind of environment.
Yeah. So basically what happened to me is hair loss. Yeah. So in my late 20s, I began losing my hair. And that was very devastating and traumatic. But I panicked a little bit, but I didn't panic too much at the beginning because I'm just thinking, oh, it's minor. I may not be taking care of my hair properly. I may need to just switch some things up and it'll
Like
grow back,
the
right?
shampoo, it could have been the When experience, right? Like I remember when I signed up for, When was, the non-sudsy shampoo stuff. But then
Yeah.
next thing you know, like for me, I was experiencing the hair loss from it, but I have so much hair that it didn't cause a problem. If anything, it actually made my hair like lighter. And so
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh, this is fantastic. And then when the news broke out, hey, there's a lawsuit. Do you want to jump into it? And I was like, oh, I should just probably stop using that product. But you start looking at products and sometimes like what we're being exposed to and not necessarily like if there's a condition at play here. Like, was it a lot of hair that was being lost right away, or was it
Well,
just slowly over time?
it was really over time. So at the point that I noticed the hair loss, my hair was actually locked. So I had locks. And so therefore, I was constantly getting my hair retwisted and things like that. So when I actually noticed it, it was like a pea size kind of a circle at the top of my head.
Okay.
I'm thinking, okay, maybe I just pulled it too much.
Like almost a stress spot.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
like my husband will get those sometimes. And then I'll be like, hey, buddy, you got to get onto your stress remedy and like relaxation. But I mean, you wouldn't think that you'd lose the entire collection.
Right. And I didn't lose everything. But what started happening is I basically combed out my locks to just give my hair some time to just breathe and kind of nourish it and see if it would grow back. But it continued to get thinner and thinner. And I was just developing larger and larger bald spots. So
wow.
that's
what time frame was this in? Like was this in for like a 6-month, 2-year period? Like what was the duration?
So this is the thing. I did not know what was happening. So I couldn't even tell you a time span because I don't even know how long my hair was coming out before I noticed it when I had it locked, right?
Right.
So it could have been happening initially over, of course, it had to have been happening over probably some years. And I just didn't even notice it. Or even months.
Well, I mean, you were in your 20s. You were in your 20s. So, exactly. I mean, like, how much were we really paying attention? On top of the fact of, like, we weren't necessarily doing all of the preventative healthcare things for our skin that we learn in our 40s and 50s now, that we should have been doing it in our youth.
Exactly.
Education, man. Education is terrible.
And then we're also talking about like the early 2000s, mids, back then
we didn't know as much.
No, we weren't doing the research. We weren't looking at the ingredients and products. And it's just now coming out, like some of these products that we use, like relaxers, cause cancer. And there are lawsuits out there. Like these things are coming out, but we were using relaxers for a very, very long time, So it was just one of those things where we just did not know. And it was something I discovered. And over time, I was in denial at first, a lot of denial, trying to figure out what was going on, fix it myself before I even went to a dermatologist to say, hey, what's happening? By the time I went to a dermatologist, it was already like pretty severe.
Full blown. Yeah.
So I waited.
Did you have people pointed out to you and like that brought more attention into your like awareness or?
So initially, my cousin is the person who pointed it out to me because she was actually styling my hair, right? So she initially pointed it out, but after that, nobody knew because I was covering it up. I was hiding it. So I was doing different hairstyles and doing different things to make sure nobody knew. The only people that knew I had hair loss were the people who were closest to me. So those were my immediate friends and like my mom and sister. But that's just because they were facing similar challenges themselves. So nobody really knew what was going on. I definitely covered it up.
Is hair loss something that's common in your genetic line? Like, like sometimes they talk about balding patterns with men being genetics, and like it skips what is it they say that it's like if the grandfather had it, it won't be the son, it'll be the grandson, that like it skips the generation. And I know that there are similar patterns that happen, especially with female hormones that are connected, like usually if the women kind of had bad PMS and they have the cramping and all of those, like it is sometimes a common behavior that or trend, I should say, that ends up playing out with each generation. But it doesn't sound like this was a common thing for people, the women in your family.
So not the alopecia part, but again, so let me say it like this. There's hair loss in my family with women. Okay. However, just like myself, and just like I didn't know to go to the doctor and go to get it checked out, they're doing the same thing. Even if they're older than me, they're not going to go check it out and figure out what's going on. They're just dealing with it. And that's the problem. That's the problem.
It's almost like when someone thinks that they, like therapy gets a bad rap, right? Like people don't want to, they want to keep it close to home because as soon as you say your shit out loud, then it really becomes into reality. And then you're like, oh my God, my life is worse than I thought it was, but really it's like, no, actually when we're needing to process things and have a healthy response to how we deal with a situation, we need to provide, like reach out and utilize the tools in front of us. Like instead of, doing a bad comb over job, it's like, we need to be like, okay, what essential oils can we add? Rosemary to help percolate the cells and help promote growth. Or, my mom, in her late, she's in her later years. So of course, she swears by the hair Rogaine product, and I'm just like, oh God, there's so many chemicals and so bad. Like it's like one of those things where it like helps, but at the same time, if it's also the problem. And so it's like, it's that Band-Aid patch system that's not really getting to the issue. But did alopecia run in the family outside of just having basic hair loss in the family? Or like this, are you like the first out of the lot?
You're probably listening to this while you're driving. So let me ask you, how's your back feeling right now? Yeah. Exactly. If your body's been trying to get your attention, just go check out the focus programs at capitalhealth.com. These are built around real things like low back pain, tight shoulders, stiffness, mobility, getting your body moving the way it's supposed to again. We've got programs for during pregnancy called Rock the Baby, after pregnancy called MilFit, and for the boys, we've got you Beefcake. Plus, programs for those flabtastic areas that like to show up uninvited and the legs for day goals. There are over 20 programs in there. Use the code TheCapitalLife at checkout and take $15 off each and every one that you grab. So if your body's been dropping hints or straight up complaining, you know where to go. CapitalHealth.com. Achieve your ideal health where health meets alignment.
So I am the first that I know of that has actually gone to a dermatologist to find out what was going on.
Wow. Okay.
So yes, as far as I am concerned, I am the first. Like I said, everybody else they're experiencing hair loss, and I have hair loss on both my mom's side and my dad's side. So it's on both sides.
Hit by a double train.
Exactly, but my alopecia isn't caused by genetics. Mine is scarring alopecia, which is caused by hair products and hair styling practices. Wow. So it could be, honestly, it could be a combination of the two, like female pattern baldness and alopecia. It could be a mixture, but the dermatologist told me that mine is scarring alopecia. Wow. Would I be surprised that my family members probably have the same type of alopecia? I wouldn't be surprised, because this type of alopecia, which is really, the acronym is CCCA, is commonly found in African American women. So they probably have the same exact thing and just haven't gone to go get it checked out.
Right. Well, it's interesting because, I've got a girlfriend in a marketing group locally, and, she had you didn't even notice, actually. Like, I think she was going through the struggle of that transition when she discovered she did have alopecia and what to do with it, which really she just was rocking a new hairdo to me. Like, I mean, I wasn't, like, I was just like, damn, you look really good with, like, man, that's a good look for you. I mean, she just struts it so clear. And then she adds the earring flare to it. And, like, and she, she was just very open and like open discussion, because that's just kind of how we are. And, she was just like, yo, man, I was actually really self-conscious at first. And I'm just like, you shouldn't be, because like she just nails it. Right. But it's going through that transitional period, I would imagine, would be part of the hardest, because it's like going, like, how do you deal? When do you make a decision to being able to try and do a cover-up job versus just, going the full enchilada and strutting the bald head all the way?
Yeah. So it's definitely a process. There are definitely different phases that people go through. Mine took me at least 18 years for me to even get to this look, right? To where I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm embracing it. I love this. This is what I'm doing. But even still with this look, people didn't know that I had hair loss, because I still didn't openly share it. They just thought I cut my hair off and this is the style I rock. And they were like, okay, cool. Just like you said with your friend.
Yeah. Right.
Nobody knew until I started doing this work and I started actually sharing my story. That's when people were like, "Oh, really? I thought you were just rocking a style." I mean,
and that's the kind of the funny thing, is that I'm always telling my daughter, I'm always telling my kid clients that, like, people only know what they know in their head. Like, they really are not, like, if you're going to the grocery store, I could pass somebody 5-6 times and I paid attention, because I'm one of those observant weirdos that notices these types of things. But like, I could pass them the 6th time and they didn't recognize me until that last encounter. And then I got on their radar, like, because a lot of times we get so fixated on what's going on our day-to-day life that we're going through, a timeline, or we're so thinking about the intricate detail of what events are to come, that we're not paying attention necessarily to always those around us, unless it's like you're meeting a friend for a meal and sitting down and catching up and like actually putting invested time. So, it like, and so, which I love is that way you can, it gives us personally the excuse to get away with a lot of crap that people don't actually realize. But, like, we get so inside our heads, we're like, oh my gosh, are people going to notice? And it's like half the time they didn't even pay attention, so, but I love, like, how did you start learning to do some of, being able to step outside of yourself to provide awareness to others with this? Because just being able to, like, I really love how you normalize, like, I don't want to say normalize, because it's not a normal issue, but you presented commonality to your story. Like, it's like the unspoken commonalities that we have that aren't shared, and being able to finally open up and speak into what our experiences are, where it takes us, and making it at least an open conversation where people can actually start talking.
Right. So the thing is, I didn't have this support when I was going through this journey. I didn't even know to go out and look for this type of support, as far as like maybe support groups or coaching or any of those things, right?
Because they probably didn't exist, really.
No, they did not. They did not exist. So what brought me to this is that it was really a little voice inside of me that kept telling me for a long time that I need to talk about this. I need to share my story. I need to support women with hair loss. I kept saying no, because I did not want to share my story publicly on the internet for everybody to see. Like, I just wasn't ready to do that. I didn't want to.
I still do that.
Yeah. But
I have 2 podcasts and I still am like, I like, there's certain things I just don't want to know.
Yeah.
I'll be the turtle and want to hide in my shell and process, and then wait to decide when I want to, like, come out and show myself.
Exactly. And but the thing is, I wasn't hiding. I was actually coaching in a different space, because my background is in real estate investing. So I was actually coaching in that space. And before
not on that subject.
Right. Just not on this particular subject. But when I started doing that, something in me was like, you need to do more than that. Like, but I was like, no, I kept pushing it away. So finally, I just kept having these experiences where women were coming up to me and just out the blue on the street, strangers just coming up to me, either saying how beautiful I am or asking me questions about, my hair loss or what do I use, or they have hair loss and, wanted some advice. So it was just like these random experiences that kept happening. And then that little voice kept on getting stronger and stronger. So I was like, okay, you know what? It's time. It's time for me to step into this, because I knew it was something I needed to do. I knew it was a purpose of mine, and I was just running from it. I was just running. So it took me some time to actually stop and record my story. That was the first thing I did. Stopped, recorded my story, and put it on my website. And it took me several tries to get that done, but I finally did it. And once I did it, it was a go from there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so good. It's interesting because you said that a lot of it is like products and hair practices that causes this type of alopecia, because, and I think of it kind of very similar to like scar tissue after surgery, right?
Yes.
Like, it's like, it's like, okay, when that scar tissue breaks down, it's like, there's only so much you can do to make it functional. If not, it's just maintaining that area so it doesn't progressively get worse. Like, what are some of the practices that create this pattern, or what, like, have you noticed that there's like a commonality within practices that's becoming some of the cause?
Well, with this particular type of alopecia, because there are a number of different types of alopecia, even within the scarring alopecia kind of frame, there's still different.
Everything's on a spectrum these days, so we've got different intensities of each issue.
Exactly. So for mine, the CCCA, that is strictly from hair care products and styling practices. That is basically everything I read, everything I've been told by the doctors. That's strictly what it is. It's not genetics. It's not any of those things. That's where it comes from. So basically, like I mentioned earlier, as an African American, back in the day, we straightened our hair to fit into society. That was the norm. That was
I have a crazy curly hair that, like, I am 1 in 40 that have my hair. Okay. Not a single person, like out of 40 people, I'm the only one that has curly. And the first time that I was actually able to straighten my hair was because I was introduced to the African American flat iron.
Yep.
And like now this was when it was like, now it's like it gets into the 400s, like, my flat iron's the 400s, but I remember, I think it would only go up to like 315 or something like that at the time. And then, then I had that big, like,
frizzy kind of.
Because when I blow dry this, I'm Tina Turner head 100%. There's no question. And so, like, if my, it's like I go and get the blow dryer, and my daughter, like, if I turn the corner, she's like, oh my God, like what happened? Because it's full-fledged Tina Turner head until I can put a flat iron to it. And when my hair texture changed, especially, I hit 40 this year, but my, your hair texture starts changing even before that. So like in my 30s, I was starting, especially after kids, I was starting to have that my frizz was not the same type of frizz. It turned into a different kind of thing. And I've had to deal with my hair. I've been the only person to educate myself on my hair, because 1 out of 40, no one else knows. So, my grandmother's trying to brush my hair, dry hair. And it's like, hell no, woman, what are you doing? Like, there are certain things you do not do to a curly haired head. And like, so I had no guidance whatsoever. And then I thought it was hilarious because it was maybe 5 years ago. I needed to find something different. And so I went into like the Sally Beauty, and this is the sweetest girl. She, she's probably was 20, I would assume. And she just kind of took me over to some of the different products. She's like, well, have you tried a co-wash? I'm like, I don't even know what that is. So then I got introduced to a co-wash. And then I'm like, and then next thing you know, she's like, okay, well, what are you looking for, like, daily? And I was like, well, I need my daily product style. So it was a conversation of, okay, I normally put in like a leave-in conditioner, but they're not holding right, the same way. And she's like, oh, well, you can try this one. And I'm like, but that one smells better. And she's like, oh, sweetie, that's not for you. Because like she's, she's sitting there like, hey, Kenny, you're lighter than white. Like, that's not your product. And I'm just like, but it smells better. Like, can we please get the African Pride? Like, and so next thing you know, so I buy the one she recommends. And then I bought the other one because then I was like, could you mix them? Don't do that. Do not mix them because it turned into some kind of cottage cheese. Oh, like it was disgusting. And at least I just did a Petri dish size so I didn't destroy the batch. But sure enough, the African Pride worked on my hair 10 times better. And that's what I use today.
Yeah.
And it's like, because it has oils in it that actually hold my, holds
your curl pattern.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't get frizzy. Like all the products I was ever introduced to as a kid with Redken and like all the other products, the gel and whatnot, after dried, it would either get crispy and like, almost like as if I walked outside and froze curl, or it would get like, it would poof up like crazy and it would never hold texture and it would never hold, it would never hydrate my hair. It would dry it out. But I was completely astonished by how much that had changed. And then it was like, okay, I've been shopping in the wrong area for the longest time. Like, and it was, but you don't know these things until you have open conversation about it. And I went back to the Sally Beauty chick and she was so cute because I go, guess which one worked? And she's like, oh my God, you just totally changed how I was selling this product. Because she's had numerous girls like with my hair come in there. And so she's given them the product that she was recommending. And then when I came back and said, actually, I'm not leaving this, this product ever. Like it was top notch, but it took like years to figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had the similar experience because once I combed my locks out and I had my natural hair, I just wore natural, no straightening or anything. I didn't know how to do my hair because all my life, my hair had been straightened, whether it was with a pressing comb or relaxer, flat, blow dry and flat iron, all of it, it was always straightened. So when it was time for me to deal with my natural, curly, kinky African hair, that was a challenge. And just like your grandmother was combing your hair, I didn't know I had to comb my hair wet. I didn't know to wet it or put something in it.
Right.
To comb. I had to.
Well, that's the only time it didn't hurt was when it was wet. And it was like, it didn't make any sense any other way. So like, my grandmother would try to brush my hair and it was like pulling my hair out of my skull. So painful. And so I'm screaming at her, and like every other woman in our family has fine, thin hair that's like, you have to curl it and then an hour later it's flat on your head again, so like my poor sister, she's got, nobody and nothing. And then this is like bedhead, like it does what it does. So I'm very fortunate. I don't want to trade my hair in for anything, but it's been a very lonely process in figuring it out. And it's like, and when you don't have conversation around it, or if you even don't have family members that are willing to help you hunt for those solutions, it can be especially as a female. We're all about doing our cute little hairdos and what outfit goes with what. And it's a statement. It's our artistic expression on our daily do. It just is.
And it's also part of our identities. Hair is normally a part of our identities. So it's a big deal.
It's a really big deal. Well, you also were hit with some unexpectedness of losing your husband in the like this was all during this whole, you're juggling with that while you're also dealing with that. Can you set us up more on time scale of like how this encountered?
Quick question. Is your body cooperating with you today or fighting you a little? That's what I thought. In that case, you might want to check out focus programs at capitalhealth.com. These programs are designed around specific needs, from low back pain and shoulder tension to mobility, stretching, and even strength support. We even made programs for different life stages and goals, including pregnancy, post-pregnancy, targeted toning, and way more. Right now, there are over 20 focus programs available. And if you use the code TheCapitalLife at checkout, you'll get $15 off any program you choose. Come explore for more at capitalhealth.com.
Well, so the hair loss started way before I got married and all of those things. I didn't get married until like my mid 30s. So let's just say the hair loss started in my late 20s. By mid 30s, I was getting married, right? Mm-hmm. And I had just been covering it up this whole time, whether it was adding extensions, wearing wigs, doing whatever it is I needed to do. My former husband at the time, he knew like a little bit about it, but I never really even went into detail with him about my hair loss. He just knew I would always do things to style my hair and make it look fuller and make it look good. And that's all he was worried about. It wasn't
boys will be boys, and it doesn't, they don't always have to know the details.
Right. So, basically after he passed away, that was just a whole traumatic experience in itself, because within 2 weeks, he had passed away unexpectedly. So it was just like one day we're having his birthday party, his 50th birthday party, and we're having a good time. He gets sick, goes to the hospital for pneumonia. Next day I get a call that he's in ICU. Within 2 weeks.
When was this?
Yeah. So that was another pivotal moment in my life. Now I was not paying attention to my hair, of course, during this time.
No, you can't feel your body when you're going through those experiences.
I was just trying to survive.
Yeah, it's like, breathing, yeah. And then all of a sudden you get hit with the truck of tears, and then you cry, and you're like, oh, okay, I caught my breath for a second, and then it's like, did you eat anything? No. So then like the way the cortisol like keeps us functioning in the most horrific times in our life is just, it's a testament to the beauty of how God made our bodies to survive things. But at the same time, I don't wish that experience upon anybody, because it is just the transformation it puts us through. And it's like you're physically purging and you're physically going through this outpour of emotions. You said that he was feeling sick. Like, it was just like, okay, here's a cold that's ensued. And then all of a sudden he just has an immediate decline into pneumonia, and then take him to the ER.
He had, he had been having like shortness of breath and different things. And he had been going to the doctor. Now, I wasn't going to the doctor with him, so he would not allow me to go. So there could have been more going on that I wasn't aware of. But he had been going to the doctor for shortness of breath. And I know he was about to get tested for sleep apnea. So we already knew these things were going on. But when he initially went into the hospital, it was they diagnosed him with pneumonia. That was it. So it was just like, okay, we just got to get over the pneumonia, and then we'll be okay. And then it just escalated from there.
Wow. That hits so to me on so many levels. Like, I turned 40 this year. My husband turned 50 this year. Mm-hmm. One of his major concerns, is the men in their family, his dad was the oldest, and they only made it to 70. And that was a big deal, because most of them die somewhere in their 50s. So it was, like when I told him, it was like, hey, if we get married, the deal is you have to make it to a minimum of 70, but really my goal is like 85. Like, like, not that I have any control over it, but it was like my security measure of like, no, we're not doing this. Like, it's not okay. But it's really hard, because it's like, it's unexpected things. These are things that are happening on such a quick, they're just quick hitters. And it's like, all of a sudden, it's like you can feel your life spinning around you while you're standing in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden, it's like you know where you're at, and then everything around you spinning, and you can't recognize anything that's happening on the outside. Like, there's familiarity, but it's so different that you're like, okay, this isn't right. Like, and then all of a sudden, it's like you wake up in the morning and you're like, have a blatant awareness of, this is not my life. How did that, wait, I'm not even understanding it. It's like your brain wakes up and it's like you have to remind yourself of what your experience were. And then it's just this quick flash of, like it's quite horrific. I mean, that is.
Yeah. And I didn't even like, it didn't really hit me hard as far as reality, as far as my new life, until like way past everything. It probably was over a year before it really, really hit me, because I'm the person who doesn't immediately cry and get emotional. I'm the person who takes action, handles business, and I get busy.
Soldier up. Yeah.
Yep, I soldier up, get busy. So when he passed away, yes, it was hurt, it was tears, but majority I focused on handling his business, making sure it was what he wanted. How did he want, different things that I know we had talked about as far as, if he passed away, what he wanted. Those were the things I was focusing on. And then on top of that, having to manage, family, his friends, because they have feelings too,
Yes,
and it's like
exactly
managing all of that, those emotions and feelings, and then trying to figure out minds. I didn't even have time to figure minds out. So
right. Well, and it's interesting because it's like, you're right. There's so many people, I am one of the deranged people that my favorite event is going to like not the funeral ceremony, but the wake. Okay. Like the wake or the showing prior to, because people are collecting, they're more inviting. The day of the ceremony is just like there's too many emotions. Everyone's crawling. It's the whole process is just, it's not as uplifting. They're trying to make changes on those things, but like I'm one of those people that I really love when someone transitions out of the physical world, when we are able to come together and share stories of the impact that individual has had. And when and then you hear, it's like you get to see how people saw them through all the different viewpoints. And, like the experiences, even hearing like the childhood stories that you've never heard of them. And then, that completely surprise you, or, even shock you because you're like, that doesn't even sound like them. And it actually was one of their shaping moments that got them to where they are now and how you knew them. But, it's like being able to have those open conversations. Those are my favorite times. Just like, a birth story is so connected with their death story. That, you have like this, you can see the personality in an individual through both of those stories, how they entered the world, how they exited the world. But, it's like those conversations, like when it comes to weddings, I'm like, that's fine. Like they're just at the beginning of it. They don't even know yet. Like
right. Wait.
Yeah, there's so much more. Like, welcome to the best love-hate relationship of your life. Well, like, congratulations, you idiots. Like, it's okay. But I will be the first one to be like the ones that I know that have already gone through a little bit of the mill. And then I'm like, those weddings, I'm like, yeah, like I'll cheer and I'll be like, I'll get the number one, finger sign. But, but most weddings that I go to, I'm like, okay, so cute, little children. It's okay. Welcome. But it's like funerals, like it's the wake, like those are the ones that I really enjoy. But there's so many different emotions, like, and I even sit there and think like, oh my gosh, if something were to happen to my husband, like, like how would I be dealing with his sisters and where would they be? Like even a couple health scares that we've had with him, like they would post a picture of them on Facebook and ask for prayers. And then like I was in the hospital dealing with things and then came out and then I'm like, why is there a shrine on like, and then I'm like, take it down. Like I don't process well this way. And it, and then I'm like, wait, I'm the wife. And I'm like, crap, they've known him since birth. Yeah, like there's like this whole emotional turmoil that comes in with it,
Yep. All of those things. I experienced those things as well because realistically, I'm an only biological child of my mother, right?
Okay.
So, and then when my other siblings, I'm the oldest because I have adopted sister and brother. So I'm still the oldest, right?
Right.
So like, I didn't really know how to operate, how to process these things, how to deal with it because I'm like, thinking about his mother. Like, she's his mother, and I'm putting her in front of me as his
you just
wife.
lost your baby. Yeah.
And it was hard. It was a hard kind of balance, because I was like, I don't know how to handle this. His brother, like, I don't know, that's his brother. How do I handle this? Even though I'm his wife, they have still
and you still want your pity party too. You still want your pity party, because you're like, no, I'm the wife. Like, I had to deal with him when they didn't want to talk to him. They could hang up, but I still had to deal with him. Like, it's like those types of things. Like, you really, the connectivity, but then it's also like trying to have that awareness of, space. But, this really kind of gets me focused on, when we're in unprecedented times, like when we're in the not knowing of where things are going, it's kind of like, it's hard to think any step ahead. It's hard to even predict anything, because everything that you didn't think that could happen is coming into play. And so then it's like, okay, thinking of future, you're like, this is a crapshoot. I have no idea what's coming next anyway. And so I always kind of like, in those times, it's really, what can you trust is, your instincts and your intuition in that moment. And it's like, it's staying present in the solid moment of, what am I needing at this instant?
Right.
And it's like, it simplifies and slows the world down, so that the processing system is a little bit easier to deal with. Because I think when we get ahead, it's like we think of all the things in the order to which we have to deal. Like you said, you were in the doing, you were so much in the doing that you couldn't even feel what was going on within you. And it's like it's almost like our emotions split one way, and then the other part of our functioning, it goes a different direction. But in both instances, it doesn't matter which way that you're splitting. You still have to be in the present moment and kind of filter out, what are you needing in this space and time in this exact moment.
Right, exactly. And that's all it was, being present. This is what I have to do today. And then on top of that, I have to move out of a house. I have to go back to work. It's just like all of these things outside of, him passing away, that I still had to deal with. It was life. I still had to go forward in life. And then I hit a wall where I was like, okay, it's time to stop. I got to stop now, and that still came over a year later, where I was like, okay, I have to stop, because then I started having the crying spells. I would be at work, like, just like falling apart, just out of the blue, or at home,
not being able to function.
Yeah. So then I had to stop and say, okay, it's time for me to take care of me, and went to therapy and took time off. And that's, I had to get myself together.
What were some of the major things that really stood out to you at the beginning of when you had to jump into therapy and had to really start slowing down and paying attention to your vibes around you and what encountered? Like, were there a couple things that stood out for you right away?
Yeah. So some things that stood out: memory loss. I was having a lot of memory loss, and I'm like, this is not me. And I would be at work and like, what is happening here? And I was steadily like, oh my gosh. Then the crying spells. Like I said, I am not a person who just cries at the drop of a dime. Like, it's hard for me to see me cry. So when I started just boo-hooing and bawling out of the blue multiple times a week, something was wrong. Something was wrong. I wasn't sleeping, and I still have this issue, but wasn't sleeping at night well. So those things were like, okay, these are red flags. I have to figure out what's happening with me, and it's time to do that.
Well, I think that's incredible, because a lot of us don't have the courage to be able to admit when we need external assistance. And we all go through different life's phases, and it hits us at different times. And so a lot of people don't realize that it's not about if you need it or you don't. It's a matter of when. It's more of, okay, we have different things that show up for us. And, hey, part of your 20s might be perfect, but then the end of those 20s might need a little bit of a booster, and sometimes it's, and sometimes it's just starting the conversations with friends, just so that you can, like, and it's like, if you're sharing with your friends and you're like, this this isn't really going so well, it's like, okay, maybe you do need to call and get, jump into therapy or jump into a group setting, or, just even having reflective journaling. Reflective journaling helps so much with understanding our perspective and what's going on with us internally, even if it's just to get it out of our system. But I mean, I love how you just have just a free spirit. You're just a natural light to this world, and you're doing awesome things. How can any of our listeners today get a hold of you, reach out to you if they have questions, even in regards to alopecia, or just even just getting some upliftingness that they need when the shit hits the fan and they're just like, holy crap, like
Well, people can definitely visit my website. It's limitlessmindsetcoach.com. So you can definitely go out there. I have information about hair loss for women. You can join my email list as well, because I send out daily confidence kicks. And I know it may sound like, oh, wait a minute, a daily email. Yes, it's a daily email because we wake up every day and we need encouragement. So
absolutely. Yeah.
So if you guys are looking for something just to boost you up, give you a confidence kick every day, definitely sign up for my email list and get those emails. I mean, it's short and simple, nothing too long. I share stories about myself, my family, you get to know me better, but I also just give information and confidence building tips and all kind of things. So yeah. But if you are looking for hair loss support, I have different things on my website, freebies. I have a journal like we just talked about. So if you need to write out your emotions due to your hair loss, there's a 90-day journal on there.
And just tracking what the condition of your hair is, because we don't we're not always paying attention, especially so much of our hair texture can be influenced by our hormones. And, just, like, it's like I'm very big into, genetic testing, blood testing, understanding, your food sensitivities, how your body interacts to different medications. But more predominantly, it's like, my genetic testing, I have shitty connective tissue, which means like my hair, nails, those types of things are going to be more slow growing, more breakable. Interesting that I have so much hair, but at the same time, it's like I have really crappy connective tissue. So it's like I have to pay attention to, if I have an injury, if I push it, actually I could rip something and end up setting myself up for surgery, where, a lot of people can push through and then not have that happen because they have good connective tissue. So it's great to be able to have a journal source to pay attention to those mindful things, because how many times do we wake up and we have a bruise on our leg and we don't even know where it came from?
That's me.
Yeah.
That's
like,
me.
I mean, when does that start showing up? Like somewhere in the 35 plus, like, and it's like, it is like, oh, I have no idea where this came from. And it's like, we couldn't remember when we walked into the bed leg and it like tripped and fell on our face or something 3 days ago. But then like today we're like, oh, I don't know how I got that bruise. I just almost lost my face falling into the floor, but it's fine. Like,
I have definitely had those moments. I look down at my leg like a big old black bruise and I'm like, where did it come from?
Right. But because it didn't show up right when it happened, we completely forget how the hell, like I got a pedicure the other day and I had a bruise on my left foot. Like, why? I didn't drop anything on it. I don't know if it's like where my shoe had like hit, that's where it had creased. I have no clue. I was just like, oh wow. And then my first thought was, oh my God, did he like massage my foot too hard? I got a bruise from the massage. And it was like, it doesn't happen that fast, dummy. Like, no. Clearly this is a you problem. Like, so it turned into one of those types of things. Well, one of my favorite things that you said, and we were talking about getting the podcast, is I love your quote, which is live life in freedom every day.
Oh yeah.
And I was hoping that you could kind of like share into that a little bit, just because it's your quote, but like,
you dug that up. I don't even know where you saw it, but yeah,
I pay attention. I told you I'm the creepy person. I'm the creepy person that notices people in the grocery stores, and I was paying attention all the time. Like, I'm one of those weirdos. I'm not like a peeping Tom weirdo. I'm just a observational space weirdo. So,
no, trust me, I appreciate that because I love that little quote. Live life in freedom every day. That came to me a very long time ago. That actually came to me probably in my early 20s, and I was listening to a speaker, and he gave this acronym LIFE, and that's what it was. Just like, okay, and that's how I live my life. Realistically, live in freedom every day. That is what my aspirations were in my 20s. I was like, that's what I want to get to. I want that. What does that look like for me? And that's when I had to start visualizing and creating. And I'm still on that journey, but I'm getting closer and closer. And it's just amazing how life surprises you. And you're like, dang, like I've been thinking about this and envisioning this whole time, and it's happening. So that's what live life in freedom every day is all about. Doing what makes you happy, what makes you thrive, grow, have joy and happiness in your life. Whatever that is, that's what you do.
I love that. I love that so much. Well, thank you so much for being on the Capital Life today, Miss Kellie. We'll definitely make sure that your info is going to be available to all of our listeners so that they have your website and info in the description box. But thank you so much for being with us. And I'm going to put you in the back studio while I wrap up today, and I'll just see you in a little bit. But thank you so much for being on today.
Bye, you guys.
Thanks for joining me today on the Capital Life, where we talk about all the things. Join me next Saturday, where we're talking about You're Not a Broken Soul. We're getting a little bit deep on the Capital Life, and kind of enjoying it. But make sure you take care of yourself, because you're somebody's everything.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube and Facebook at Capital Health. That's KAPITOL Health. Please share with your friends and family. The Capital Life is available on all podcasting platforms except Pandora. Our goal at the Capital Life is to provide a safe place to get information when it comes to your health and wellness, especially when dealing with all of life's phases. Remember to take care of yourself, because you're somebody's everything.